Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, dish out on the movies. Today we are doing which one do you want to do first, Marco?
Fargo Season 5, Episode 3. The title is
The Paradox of Intermediate Transactions, which...
Yeah. So this episode, let's try and make this review 5 minutes or less, because there's literally...
for heaven's sakes.
Well, there's literally nothing that happened in this episode, and, I was based off that trailer for the season, I felt like, something's gotta happen in this episode. But nothing really happened, and I was just sitting there feeling kind of like a fool for staying up until 10 o'clock at night to watch this nothing burger episode. Safi could have told me what happened in this episode in 3 minutes, and then I wouldn't have even had to watch it.
Well, Dot and Wayne buy $5,000 worth of armaments, which means a couple of big guns and a handgun. And then...
but they have to wait a week to get them
because
of the stupid waiting period. And so they are basically screwed because they will not have those guns until a week after.
So it's a good thing she did all of her MacGyver setups around the house, because she's going to need it, because the sheriff's son is very upset with himself, and his father's a little upset with him too, we don't know the circumstances, ex-wife or whatever, not getting captured and or killed.
What I think is the reason why there was they had the whole waiting period thing is because I think that if she got those guns right off the bat, the show would be done too early.
Yeah.
Because, I think that they could have had it where they had some sort of an illegal thing and the guy looked the other way or something, but they couldn't do that because that wouldn't, that would make the show go by a lot faster than it needs to. And she would just wipe the floor with everybody. And she does some other preparation, she changes the street signs.
Which was very clever. She did it in a couple places, but the only thing is, it's a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of town. And so somebody's going to notice.
Yeah. And
they're messed up.
I thought that was really, kind of goofy, because there's a lot of suspension of disbelief you have to do, because isn't that illegal? Wouldn't that be illegal to do that, too?
I have no idea. I really don't know.
You should get in trouble for doing that. That's bad. But, just yesterday, when we dropped off a package at someone's house, we couldn't have done that if the street signs were screwed up like that and switched around, and we would have noticed, because then I could have texted that person and they would have said, well, it's not on my porch. So, this episode, hardly anything happens otherwise.
The highway patrolman, he catches the sheriff's son, bad boy, going through the evidence locker of the guy who was killed in the, I don't know what it is, Quickie Mart / gas station.
Yeah.
And he gets some kind of evidence, and we tried to figure out what it was. I couldn't tell. And neither could Marco.
No.
And then he looked in there, and the only thing that was left was, I don't even know what that was. It was like a piece of trash. So I don't know, that could have been evidence, I don't know, but there wasn't anything else in the box, the evidence box of that case. And then he gets online in that cafe that they show at the very, very beginning of the season. And the highway patrolman is looking up, I guess, the case, and they have footage of the what happened at that Quickie Mart, and they showed Dot, and so go, oh, there's my girl. That's what he said. So he did get to He did identify her.
You guys see how little happened? Safi's just going into extreme detail to describe this nothing burger of a scene. And then also, I'll just do the rest of it, because, like, hardly anything else happens.
I was going to think of something else, but just go ahead, maybe you'll say it.
The bad guy who didn't get paid all much, he is now living at his parents' house again, and he's just going to be there so that he can watch over what's happening with Dot. And I guess conveniently his childhood home is like right near there. Like, where is his home in relation to hers? Because isn't that kind of convenient that his house, his childhood house, is like right next to hers? Like, that's like really, really convenient for the plot, right?
Yeah, but he's there.
Yeah, he's there, and this is the part where they do some weird backstory thing for like one of his ancestors in the 1500s. And they show this guy, and they're doing some kind of weird ritual where there's like a guy in a coffin, and there's like a plate of bread on him, and the ancestor eats the bread, and then they say words, and something happens, and he walks out. And apparently that means something. I had no idea what that meant. I was completely confused about what that was. I thought that we would get some kind of like explanation in the episode, but we didn't. It's just kind of like a pretentious like thing that, you know, somebody got it apparently, because Safi read an explanation for it, and I was like,
the New York Times guy said that it was kind of what Munch had just did. A really rich, well-connected person did some bad things, and this guy had to make up for it and finish it up or something, and then for doing that he would get to go to heaven. And so we come 1,000 years later or whatever it is, and Munch is doing the same thing. He's correcting the wrongs or something of a rich guy, well connected, but he didn't get paid, and he did not get told what the whole deal was with Dot, because he calls her a tiger he said this in the previous episode, and he doesn't think that they didn't really reveal to him how hard she would to be taken.
And I would agree.
So he's mad. He wants revenge against them, Dot.
It is kind of silly that they wouldn't tell him like how she was. And so like it was just so random though. Like they zoomed into him sitting down in the chair, and he tells his mom that he lives there now, and then they show the 1500s thing, and then they show him weird again, and he's like, I live here now, and it's like, what is going on here? I was like, oh, what is this? But it wasn't bad. I'm just saying, like, it was like really random. And then
I know what I was going to say.
What?
Well, the only thing is, it's all fine and well and good and everything. She had this life. He was probably, who knows, he must have been a very over-possessive, dominating husband, and she just couldn't take it anymore. And this typical story where we've heard, very possessive and weird. They show him with all these different costumes that his wife has to wear before they have sex.
No, well,
but anyway, the thing I wonder, though, that I question, I really like her, and I've said this before, but the problem is that these are really serious people, and they can hurt her husband and kid and not care, and she's not telling them.
Yeah.
And I don't really warning them. I mean, they know, no matter what the husband says about, he believes her, that nothing happened, bull. He knows something happened. She didn't do that to herself because it's not her blood. And then the thing about the hair upstairs, it's not her hair. So whose hair is it?
Your mom's.
So, I mean, she's really kind of putting them into danger. And when is she going to tell them? Is she not telling them because of the mother? And
I would probably think that
she
that's
is
why.
bad. Which the mother is bad.
You know, the son is
She's
so
weird.
weak. The son is so weak that he would, tell his mom right off the bat. He wouldn't, because he would just crack under the pressure, and he would be like, "Ooh, I'll tell you everything."
We don't know the circumstances of her leaving, but we have heard some of the things he said. And then they show his wife starting to go to bed with him.
That whole scene was so cringeworthy, because she was like trying to please him, and she's like, "Should I be the hitchhiker or the angry feminist?" And
she opens up this big trunk. It's lit up. It's really nice.
Yeah, that was weird.
And it has all these beautiful costumes in it that are like people that you would pretend to be. And so she says, and what Marco said, should I be this or that or the other? And he won't answer because he's thinking about Dot. And you got to wonder, did he really love Dot? And he just doesn't know how to. He's so full of himself because of his background and his genealogy that he just couldn't stop being a jackass.
Well, I was really uncomfortable because I thought that he was going to beat her up or something. Like, you never know with his character. He's so creepy and just like he's a ticking bomb because anything could set him off and he'll just start strangling you or something like he did in that diner. And but they have this weird thing too, like where he's in bed and he's kind of imagining what's going on in the ceiling. And they do some other stuff in this episode that reminded me of The Shining, where they played music from The Shining. It was the music where Jack Nicholson, he was bouncing the tennis ball, and then he goes over to the maze to look at Danny and Wendy, and they do the same kind of thing where he's looking at the maze, and then they kind of make it look like Danny and Wendy are inside the maze model. But the thing is that if he does have psychic powers, this character, which I don't think he does, Safi thinks he does.
No, I don't know, but it's weird because it acts like I can feel him watching me, and he did say too, I can see you, and he's talking to the ceiling.
Yeah.
With the picture of her, though, looking out the window of her house.
I just don't get that, though, because if he can see her, then why hasn't he gotten her, like, thousands of years ago by now? Like, why? Because if he could see her, then he could pick, like, any moment of any day and look where she's at and just see, like, a street sign or see, like, the school that the kid goes to and be like, ooh, let's look up that school on Google Maps. It'll be really easy, and no. So that's why I don't think he has psychic powers, because if he did, you could easily track her down. It wouldn't be rocket science. So I don't know, though.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We don't know how to explain that, but he's not. Well, I can't figure it out, too. I mean, there's just so many unknowns about this former relationship.
Yeah.
What made her... I mean, I just think about other things I've seen and what it could have been. And she did tell her mother-in-law, I've been through seven layers of hell to get where I am today or something like that. And they show him
You think that one of those layers of hell was watching American Horror Story Cult?
Probably. And then they show him sitting next to a tub, and there's two girls in there, maybe.
And they're his daughters, I guess.
What happened to them?
What do you mean?
Well, I wonder if she took them somewhere so they wouldn't be anywhere near him.
I don't know. Why would you say that?
There's all kinds of things like that son.
Well, yeah, you thought that...
son? But it couldn't be because they were only together 10 years before. I don't know.
He's 18, so...
He's more than that.
Really? I don't know. Well,
I don't know either.
I don't know. They haven't explained yet, and this has been like a common thing that's been going on with these modern shows, where like they have all these unknowns that like you just have to wait until they explain them for some reason. Like, in the recent American Horror season, like, they just do all this random shit that didn't make any sense, and you had to wait like 5 episodes for them to explain why it makes sense. And they're doing the same kind of thing here, where it's like, nothing happened this episode, but at the same time, like, maybe stuff did happen and we just can't figure it out because, you know, they haven't explained it well enough yet. Like, who knows? Because, like, then what happened was, it's Halloween night and they're going out trick-or-treating as zombie hunters.
And isn't one of them a zombie?
And a zombie.
Yeah.
And they all have bulletproof vests on and I think helmets. And they did this, like, extravagant setup. Well, like a setup where you have music from the Charlie's Angels movie, the 2000s one, you know, the good one. Probably one of the best movies ever made. And at the same time, you saw the sheriff's son, and he's got this, like, little group of people, and they all have their guns, and they're getting ready to...
they have masks on, too.
Getting ready to get them. And then at the same time, you see Dot prepping up the house for invaders, and it's just like, oh, shit. Stuff is going to happen now.
Something's going to happen next week.
At the end of this episode. But it's like, oh, no. Nothing's going to happen this episode.
What the New York Times guy said, and what we say too, is that we wish this episode would have been hooked on to another one.
Yeah, I think so. Like, this should have been a 2-parter week again, because the first episode and the second episode were the same deal, where in the first episode a lot happened, and then in the second episode it was a setup. But this one, it was like even less stuff happened than last episode. So I really felt like I wish that we could have gotten next episode too. Yeah.
So anyway, that's it. So we can't say anything else because there's really nothing else to say.
No, there's nothing.
But I recommend it highly. Just don't expect anything from this third episode, except she knows her way around guns.
Well, if I were telling someone to watch the show, I would say watch the first 3 episodes or watch the first 2 and then wait until next week and watch 3 and 4. Because
the first 2 are so good, you want to watch the next. You can't wait to watch the next episode.
Well, you can learn some self-restraint and some willpower. Right, Safi? You know, like when you're in the kitchen and you have the choice between picking up the broccoli or picking up the bonbons, and you choose to pick up... You choose to get the bonbons for yourself.
What he's talking about. I don't
Pig out.
I don't even know what bonbons are.
It's chocolate.
Okay, well, we don't eat bonbons.
Well, you eat something. You got candy in your pockets, and you got chocolate sundaes for breakfast, and it's like, you gotta learn willpower, like with Fargo.
Marco's joshing you, okay? So anyway,
what would you grade it? No, what would you grade it? We have to grade the episode.
I'll just give it a C.
Yeah, I give it a C as well. I mean, I am not going to give this episode a fucking A just because it's Fargo. I'm not going to give it an A automatically. It has to earn that A if it is a good episode. And this was not. It was confusing, it was lackluster, and it was uninteresting compared to watching the movie that I watched before, which was a 3-hour movie. And somehow it was more interesting than the 45-minute episode that, you know, had that amazing build-up of episodes 1 and 2.
And really also, it left with you a lot more questions than answers as to what is the deal with their previous relationship.
Well, it was really...
Other than they were married.
It was really anticlimactic how they had that build-up with the music and everything, and then nothing happens, and you have to wait until next week. Like, that was really the definition of anticlimactic to me.
Whatever. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers. And so you can give us feedback about what you think about the latest season of Fargo. And if you have any suggestions, which really it is not our job or your job to come up with what's going on with this, what happened in this previous relationship, because we're not the writers, we're not getting paid.
Yeah.
Why do we have to come up with the storyline?
Well, I don't think they won't say. I'm just saying that, like, nothing happened in this episode, and that's a fact.
And also, do you agree with me that you think Dot maybe should tell her husband and daughter that they are in imminent danger? Because at the end of this, they show the people there, the son and his friends with their mask on, getting ready to go into the house through the front door.
But they were confused by the... No, I thought... That was another thing that confused me, is that at the end of the episode, I thought that it was the ancestor from the 1500s entering Dot's house. Because I saw a weird-looking body, and I saw, like, bloody footprints or something. And I thought that was the ancestor.
Gee, I don't know where you came up with that.
I saw it.
Well,
I know what I saw.
well, whatever. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.